Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a conversation with the Mutt. I'm Mutt.
And I'm Mrs. Mutt.
And this is a conversation with the Mutts, as I've already stated. Tonight's conversation is about
Wisconsin's contribution to the Civil War, or as Mutt would call it,
Wisconsin's contributions to Northern aggression. I will admit that this has been a very difficult study for me because I've had to put aside my very Southern roots and the fact that I'm very much in favor of states' rights superseding those of the federal government.
You also had to recognize that Wisconsin contributed. You didn't think that we had anything to do with the Civil War.
She is telling the truth, ladies and gentlemen. I did not, and I had studied the Civil War, but I predominantly kept my studies to Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, the East Coast. I did not realize that Wisconsin had contributed as much as they had to the Civil War. We will be going over some of the units that were contributed by Wisconsin. I believe it was Governor Randall, was it not, that had pretty much was in charge of the state at that point?
Yes, I believe so.
I know that he was in charge of appointing the then colonel, captain, and he became a colonel with the promotion of Colonel Dorian, who was a prominent attorney in Milwaukee at the time.
That sounds correct.
So we're going to go ahead and delve into this. Danica, or Mrs. Mutt, is going. I'm going to allow ladies first, as she has quite a bit more insight in this than I do. Not that I don't have some.
You went more into the individual units. I have more general tidbits.
Yeah, I did tend to lean towards several of the units, being that I have family that was cavalry, for example. I looked into how many cavalry units that they contributed, which was the number was 4. Yes. Each regiment was 1,000 men and horses.
Well, actually, for the cavalry, I show total that there were 8,877 men in the cavalry total.
That 877 were replacement soldiers.
Okay.
The original number was 1,000 men per unit. The 877.
That would be 2,000 men per unit if it was 4 regiments.
All right, so there were 4 regiments, and maybe there were 2,000 per. But I know that a standard regiment at that time was 1,000, roughly. So we will delve into this a little deeper.
Okay. Well, the total soldiers sent from Wisconsin amount to 91,374. There were 53 regiments of infantry, totaling 77,375. We already touched on cavalry. There were 13 batteries of light infantry, and one of my sources also mentioned 1 unit of heavy artillery. Pardon me. Those were all light artillery and heavy artillery, for a total of 5,075. There was a Burdens Sharpshooters Company. I didn't get a total number there, but there was, of those men, 12,216 did not return home.
I did notice that. Do you have the breakdown of how each of them, or how they died?
No, I do know what caused their deaths, but not the numbers of who died from this and who died from that.
I kind of delved into that.
I did when I was helping you organize.
Yeah,
I did note that. I do know that the 8th Regiment,
yeah,
which was at Vicksburg, had their mascot, Old Abe, the war eagle. The 15th.
Actually, I have a little bit of. I saw Old Abe, and so I kind of did a little bit of a look.
Okay.
Old Abe actually retired from the unit and lived. He actually did show up at the reunions of the Union soldiers.
Yes, I read that.
He lived until 1881. Old Abe lived to be
quite a good-looking eagle in the picture I saw of him.
a bald eagle. I mean, you know.
Do you have anything more you want to add about the ape?
No. I just happened to remember that fact, and you hadn't covered it. I wasn't sure if you were going to, and I would have felt remiss if we hadn't mentioned that.
Well, you kind of pointed out the next one to me because you know that where I lived in Wisconsin, there were a lot of Norwegians.
Yes.
The 15th regiment.
They were an infantry regiment, yes? They were an infantry regiment.
Okay, I didn't get that. Oh, wait a minute. I might have it over here. They were
an infantry regiment,
okay.
Ladies and gentlemen. Go on.
They had 128 men named Ollie. 75 men had the last name of Olsen. And 15 men had the name Ollie Olsen.
Yes, there were 15 Ollie Olsens, and they identified them during muster
by number.
Ollie Olsen number 1, Ollie Olsen number 2, and so forth and so on.
Now they've had companies within the regiment named St. Olaf's Rifles, the Norwegian Bear Hunters, Odin's Rifles, and the Scandinavian Mountaineers.
Yes.
And yes, you're right. I do see now. I did make note infantry.
Yes.
They were recruited from the Danes, the Norwegians, and the Swedes living in the state. This regiment was believed to be the only all Scandinavian region in the Union Army regiment. Pardon me.
I can believe that. They tended to do that a lot, like they did it with the Irish Brigade. Which we will be covering later. They tended to do that, and in some of the videos that I saw, some of this information, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, will be coming to you from things that we've extracted from videos, as well as from Wikipedia and other sources. That a lot of them would, at least at the beginning of the war, would decorate their soldiers, not decorate, but they would uniform their soldiers in such a way as to identify the individual units by nationality to some degree, which I found rather interesting.
Right. Now, the 15th actually trained in the spring of 1862 at Camp Randall under Colonel Hans Haig, who was a prominent Norwegian immigrant, recently elected state prison commissioner. He had personally recruited the men of the 15th with an appeal to their patriotic duty, using, quote, Scandinavians, let us understand the situation, our duty, and our responsibility. Shall the future ask, where were the Scandinavians when the fatherland was saved? End quote.
It's a fatherland. That would be Germany, not America. I have to, but we're talking about Scandinavians and Swedes. I have to wonder, and sorry about that, folks. I have to wonder if the Swedish chef was there. I have to wonder if he was there. Ergy.
Then you have the 24th that was led by Arthur MacArthur.
Yes.
Who, as he was leading the troops, cried, "On Wisconsin!" Which, for those of you who don't know, the college, the State College, University of Wisconsin, their Madison campus, which is where the Badgers come from, the campus song or one they sing at all the football games and such, is on Wisconsin.
Was there any more history on Arthur
Yes,
MacArthur?
there is. He was actually the father of Douglas MacArthur.
Yes.
Moving to Gettysburg. Those were all Vicksburg, by the way.
Yep.
Moving on to Gettysburg, the 2nd, the 6th, and the 7th regiments were all part of something that became known as the Iron Brigade. These were 3 of 5 regiments total, with General McClellan christening them. The other 2 regiments were the 19th Indiana Infantry, the 24th Michigan Infantry, and then they also had the Battery B of the 4th U.S. Artillery.
Yes.
Light artillery.
Yes.
You also had Rufus Dawes, who was the great-grandson of William Dawes, who rode with Paul Revere to warn that the British were coming, leading one of the Wisconsin regiments.
Who was, for those of you who don't know, and that would be most of you, William Dawes was the great, I believe it was, granduncle of my ex-wife.
The reason that the men volunteered before the drafting became a problem was either to fight to end slavery, or some fought to end slavery, some sought to preserve the American, quote, experiment in democracy, end quote. Wisconsinites fought in every major battle of the war.
Oddly enough, and I'm going to point this out because it is a pet peeve of mine. Everyone says that the Civil War was about slavery.
That's actually what they teach us in the northern states in school.
They tried it here, and too many people bitched about it. Less than 1%, ladies and gentlemen, of Southerners owned even a single slave. What it boiled down to was that Lincoln did not want, or actually there was a large contingency of abolitionists who were pressuring Lincoln to not expand the slave trade, which was actually dying anyway.
Right.
West of the Mississippi after the Louisiana Purchase. And it had been a hot button topic for at least 20 years. It's roughly 1830, 1840, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
So 20 to 30 years. So the misnomer that it was about slavery is just that. What it was really about was much like it is today, the government overreaching and wanting to take more authority than they had. Lincoln himself should have been, had the South won, would have been tried as a war criminal because he had suspended habeas corpus. He had jailed, some of this is going to sound familiar, ladies and gentlemen. He had actually jailed reporters who spoke in favor of the South in any way or spoke against him specifically. Sound familiar? I think it sounds a little Biden-esque to me, but that's my opinion. But those are all facts that have bore themselves out over the last 160 some odd, 50 some odd years. So the misnomer that it was strictly about slavery is a lie. Yes. Sorry, it is a pet peeve.
I understand, and I totally get that now. But that is what we as Northern Americans were taught in school. They didn't teach us about the economic issues. They didn't teach us anything other than it was about slavery.
You know, as I said, slavery was, while it was a horrific act. I do not deny that.
Right. Neither of us condone slavery.
No. I will say that had I been alive at that point, I would have fought for the South because I see myself as a Virginian first, much as Lee did. I see myself as a Virginian first and an American second. I believe that the states' rights should supersede those of the federal government, and that the federal government should only have maybe three rules, or three things that it oversees: trade with other countries, disputes between states, and the protection of the nation as a whole.
So relations with other countries as well. Correct?
Well, I said that originally,
Okay.
but yeah. So, outside of that, anything else is overreach, in my opinion. It should all be left to the everyday, it should be left to the states. So I guarantee you, had I been alive in that period, I know I would have fought for the South, simply because I feel that strongly about being a Virginian before I'm an American. You can hate me later.
Are you sure you want steampunk and not Civil War?
Maybe. Leave it in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know whether we should do a steampunk wedding or a Civil War wedding. And by the way, any of you who wish to join us, the link is pinned at the top. Just so you know, the link is pinned at the top. You can join the chat, provided I know who you are. So anyway, I did not mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
Fine. There were several places where the recruits were trained.
Nurse D, how are you?
I know they were trained in Milwaukee, Fond du Lac, Racine. There was a training facility, if I remember right, in Janesville, which is one of the cities I actually lived in.
Yep.
And as well as Madison, and I did live in Madison. Madison actually had Camp Randall, which was not only a major training facility in Madison.
100% agree with you, Nurse D.
It also housed Confederate POWs.
Yes. Randall did? Yeah.
Yes, Camp Randall.
Yeah, I knew that. Actually, I do believe I knew that.
Now, the 9th, let me just double check and make sure I didn't miss anything. Lord knows I've turned pages in here. And the 9th, 26th, 27th, and 45th regiments were primarily German. Colonel Joseph Bailey, with the help of lumberjacks from the 23rd and 24th regiments, saved a fleet of Union gunboats and transports stranded in low water in the Red River of Louisiana by using a technique for damming and deepening the river. This was a skill they learned in Wisconsin's lumber camps.
I have to wonder if that upset one of the other German regiments who had their own beer train that delivered beer to them on a weekly basis.
That I don't know. I do know that 3,802 of these men were killed or died from their wounds. 8,499 of them died from disease exposure, etc. Wisconsin Union POWs spent some time in some of the more infamous Southern military prisons, including Libby, Richmond, Virginia,
yep,
and Andersonville in Sumter County, Georgia.
Yes, Andersonville was the most notorious Southern.
If I remember right, I remember seeing a man that looked like a skeleton in my history book.
Yep.
And he was still alive.
Yep.
Barely. And he was from Sumter.
Well, you've got to think. By the time Andersonville fell, which was 64, 65, I don't remember. I used to have a lot more knowledge crammed into this big head of mine but unfortunately, as I get older,
new facts and old facts have fallen out.
Exactly. By the time Andersonville fell, which again I believe was 64, 65, please somebody fact check me on that. If you think I'm wrong, I may be. The
water was filthy.
Well, it wasn't just that. You got to remember by that point, the South had been so crippled by the blockade, as you just discussed, the destruction of the railroads, that their crops weren't enough to feed their populations, plus their soldiers in the field. Hold on. So the last in Richmond, for example, things got so bad in Richmond that people were eating the horses.
Maybe I didn't discuss the railroads.
Well, you were talking about. I thought you mentioned them destroying the railroad. Did I misunderstand something?
You misunderstood. They saved gunboats and transports stranded in a low river.
I misunderstood. That was my mistake. I thought she was going to talk about there was a group of lumberjacks who did actually help a Union general destroy.
No.
But anyway, again, did a lot of reading over the last couple of days. But yeah, by the time Andersonville fell, the prisoners were the bottom of the barrel. They were the last ones that. So if they ate, they ate. If they didn't, they died. It was really the way the Southern Guards were having a hard enough time feeding themselves, let alone trying to feed, trying to feed Union soldiers.
And the conditions were overcrowded.
Yep.
The water was not clean, to put it mildly.
It was polluted.
Nothing was of any quality. It's amazing that man was still alive.
Yes, Guardsman is correct. They were eating. Some had resorted to cannibalism as well as rotted meat. Yep. Please get RSO extract and use 2 times a day to kill all cells. Yes, ma'am. I have to make sure that my allergies to certain things aren't going to affect that, though, to be honest. We can discuss that a little later. Yeah. So, but I'm sorry, baby. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I know there are things that need to be discussed. The military draft that Lincoln instituted in 1862 was not greeted well, to put it mildly.
No.
This resulted in riots in Port Washington, West Bend, and Milwaukee. As the war continued and thousands of Wisconsin families lost fathers and or sons, public opinion supported Lincoln's efforts to pressure the Union, supporting efforts to preserve the Union overwhelmingly changed. Demand for eastward moving trade increased, especially after the lower Mississippi River closed. Railroads were actually overwhelmed from Wisconsin east.
Okay.
With business and shipping costs skyrocketed, labor shortages increased wages for hired hands, crop prices rose as Army demanded more wheat, which was Wisconsin's main crop at the time, and the increased demand for food accelerated the demand for farm equipment, an industry centered in southeast Wisconsin. So the war was actually very beneficial to Wisconsin's economy.
Imagine that, war being beneficial to an economy. Sounds, again, proxy war sounds a little bit familiar. Anyway, go on.
Women's contributions. Women were expected to support the soldiers medically, spiritually, and economically. The middle and upper class women set aside their religious, ethnic, and political beliefs and differences to organize and form aid societies throughout the state. The Women's Soldiers Aid Society sent inspectors to improve conditions at the front and the hospitals, as well as contributed to thousands of dollars worth of supplies. They also hired nurses for Army hospitals and distributed food to soldiers. Women also supported their families by working tirelessly in traditionally male roles. They fueled agricultural production in Wisconsin that helped feed all of the Union Army. Female factory workers made absolutely everything from wagons to textiles. Between 1860 and 1870, the number of women involved in Wisconsin's industrial and commercial industries increased by over 500%.
Girl power.
A handful of Wisconsin women would actually even masquerade as men and enlist themselves to fight alongside the men.
That's not uncommon. That wasn't uncommon either.
No, they did that during the Rev War too.
Yep, they did.
Cordelia Hardy, the widow of the late Governor Lewis P. Hardy, organized charitable activities and arranged for wounded soldiers to be transferred to northern hospitals. After visiting several hospitals in the South, Mrs. Hardy determined only the cooler climate could restore the northern soldiers to health. After several visits with War Secretary Edwin Stanton, and President Lincoln, she was finally authorized to establish a U.S. Army hospital in Madison in 1863. Following the war, she ran the facility as an orphanage for the children of soldiers killed in the line of duty.
My band in Sea Cherokee fought alongside the white men in this war. They probably, I wouldn't have been surprised, Nurse D. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cherokee of the Carolina band, if you're Eastern band, which you would be if you're from Carolina, they've mostly fought with the Confederacy, believe it or not.
I was just going to get into the Native Americans, what happened in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
At the time of the war, at the beginning, an estimated 9,000 in Wisconsin, composed of 7 nations or tribes, including Menominee, Oneida, Stockbridge, Muncie, Brothertown, Ho-Chunk, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi. Okay.
No Sackbox?
No, that was Iowa.
Ah, okay.
And
what's up,
Illinois.
Red? What's up, Mama Red? How are you?
Within a month of the 1861 call for troops, Governor Randall received a letter offering 200 Menominee men for service. The federal government considered Native Americans, along with African Americans, to be colored troops.
Yeah.
So the offer was declined by Governor Randall. Despite this, dozens of groups or individuals actually managed to join in with the troops. With the drop in volunteering and that lovely draft, and let me tell you, they broke that draft down to county level quotas. In 1963, the federal government had resorted to drafts to meet quotas and lifted the ban of colored troops. Hundreds of Wisconsin Native Americans enlisted with 2 notable concentrations. Company K, 37th Wisconsin Infantry Regiment, had 40 Menominee. That was the largest concentration of Native Americans in a single company. 50 Oneidas in companies F and G 14th of Wisconsin Infantry. All told, there were 500 to 600 Wisconsin Native Americans served in the Civil War. I got one last thing.
No worries.
As far as the African Americans, records credit most of Company F, 29th U.S. colored troops, to Wisconsin. In reality, most never set foot in Wisconsin. Recruiters seeking substitutes to meet quotas offered attractive bounties, or basically bonuses, for lack of a better way to put it, to African Americans from Illinois and Missouri. That said, there were at least a few, including Alfred Weaver, an escaped North Carolina slave who was working as a carpenter in Vernon County at the start of the war, and Alfred Carroll, a 20-year-old paper hanger born in Milwaukee, that both served. Most accounts list the first loss of life of a Wisconsinite in the war as George Drake of Company A at the Battle of Falling Waters on July 2nd, 1861. This distinction actually belongs to John H. Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
He was a 27-year-old farmer from Wauwatosa who was enlisted with Company C. He drowned while bathing in a river on June 3rd, 1861, while the regiment was still in training.
Don't y'all teach them how to bathe without drowning up there? I'm asking. You're from there.
Yeah, but I wasn't trained to bathe in a river. I bathed in a bathtub or take a shower.
Okay.
And I was always told that if I got into a river or a creek to swim, take a buddy.
It's a creek.
Up there's creek.
Creek is a native tribe. A creek is
But
something.
it's
A creek is running water.
Turtle Creek is how we say it.
Turtle Creek. Yep. Y'all heard it here first.
It was pronounced Turtle Creek where I came from.
Turtle Creek. That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to hit him over the head with my notebook.
No, she's not either. Oh. Okay. Soldiers probably got into undercurrents. Yeah, more than likely. I am not going to be able to read the chat for a minute, simply because of the way my notes are set up. But if you want to pull it up on your phone, babe, that way if anybody has any questions or there's somebody down in the chat, we can
go to YouTube.
Yep. Several more of the units that the state of Wisconsin, Mrs. Mutts adopted second home. There were 4 cavalry regiments that were mustered up from Wisconsin during the Civil War. They were as follows. And all of these, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, were volunteer. These 4 were all volunteer. The 1st Cavalry Regiment fought in the Atlanta Campaign, as the Yankees refer to it. We Southerners tend to refer to it as the destruction of Atlanta, the burning of Atlanta, or Sherman's March. It was in 1864, and they were also involved in the capture of the former Confederate President Jefferson Davis on May 10th, 1865, in Texas. He was actually headed to Mexico, where they were going to take as many of the Confederates as could get there and continue the war from Mexico. They were in the service from the 1st Cavalry was in service from September 1st, 1861 through July 19th, 1865. Their engagements included the Battle of Cape Girardeau, the Chickamauga Campaign, or the Battle of Chickamauga, which was in September 19th and 20th of 1863, the Chattanooga Campaign. They were also in charge of the operations at Dandridge. The Atlanta Campaign consisted of the Battle of Rocky Face Ridge, the Battle of Rosika.
I think so.
and the battle, as well as the Battle of New Hope Church, Wilson's Raid, the Battle of Selma, and the Battle of West Point. I thought West Point was in New York, but hey, who knows? Maybe they
When were
marched.
reading it to me, you said Westport.
No,
but
there
you
is a
said
West.
Point.
There is two different things, and there is a West Point and a Westport. The 2nd Wisconsin Regiment was established on September 1st, 1865, through November 15th, 1861 through November of 1865. Yes, Jerry.
Guardsman says that cavalry were all volunteers. It was a privilege to ride into battle. Conscription was for the infantry.
Okay, I had not seen that, but okay. They recruited a total. The 2nd Cavalry Regiment recruited a total of 2,125 men, of which they lost a total of 312 to illness and battle combined. Now, you will find that in these numbers that I do cover how they, unlike Mrs. Mutt did, I do try to cover how they passed by number. And by and large, most of them died from disease, which they're not wounds per se, but disease. The regiment was involved in this again is the 2nd Wisconsin Cavalry Regiment. They were involved with the Battle of Prairie Grove, the Siege of Vicksburg, which you had discussed earlier. They joined the regiments there. The Siege of Jackson, and the Battle of Egypt Station. I'm not sure where Egypt Station is. They were organized between December 30th, 1861 through March 10th of 1862. They achieved veterans status in March of 1864. They were officially disbanded as a unit on December 14th, 1865.
He also says to be artillery, one had to be an officer.
No, not true. That much I do know. There were a number. I have family that were artillery in the Civil War that they did not reach above the rank of sergeant. So they were not all artillerymen were officers. The 3rd Cavalry Regiment of Wisconsin was established on November 30th, 1861 through October 27th of 1865, and they lost a total of 217 men, 3 officers, and 61 enlisted were killed or mortally wounded. 6 officers and 147 enlisted lost their lives to disease. Their engagements included the operation of Northern Boston Mountain, the First Battle of Newtonia, the Prairie Grove Campaign, which is the Battle of Prairie Grove, the operations and control of the Indian Territories, Battle of which included the Battle of Honey Springs. Yes, you were going to say something.
No.
Oh. Prices, and seeing as I know Blaine is related to the Prices, I'm wondering if he has any relation here. Price's Missouri Expedition, the 2nd Battle of Lexington, the Battle of Little Blue River. I love some of these names, they're great. The Battle of Byram's Ford, the Battle of Westport. See, there's Westport. The Battle of Marmaton River, and the 2nd Battle of Newtonia.
Guardsman says sergeant is a commissioned officer. You're thinking of NCOs, Matt.
Sergeant is not a commissioned officer. It's a non-commissioned officer, but okay. I think Guardsman's a little confused. That's all.
He says yes, but not the Missouri Prices.
Okay. the 4th Wisconsin Cavalry Regiment was established in August 22nd, 1861 through May 2nd of 1866. They were the longest standing volunteer regiment that Wisconsin had. And I believe they were the ones known as the Buffaloes. Their campaigns consisted of the Mobile campaign, because they went down into Alabama.
But there were no specific battles listed.
No, not for the Mobile campaign. They initially recruited 1,047 men, with an additional 998
recruited as replacements.
Yeah, which were recruited as replacements, for a total of 2,045. The regiment suffered 11 officers and 106 killed or died from wounds, and 3 officers and 311 enlisted died from disease. Nurse D, I think they needed you, because it sounded like they could have used some penicillin, because these people were dying left and right in the center of disease more than they were bullets.
Yes, but she says she's never heard of some of these battleground names.
Well, some of them were
lesser known,
smaller. They were more like a lot of these were more like skirmishes, but they were still listed because they were part of key larger campaigns. The 4th served in the Western Territories, the Western Theater, which may be why you hadn't heard of them if you're still down in Carolina, in the spring of 1865, and took the city of Mobile, Alabama. The siege took place from March 25th to April 12th, 1865. Their commanders included Colonel Franklin A. Boardman, Colonel Joseph Bailey. Didn't you mention Mr. Bailey earlier? I believe you did. Or A. Bailey. And a Lieutenant Colonel Nelson F. Krug, I believe. Originally, they were organized as the 4th Wisconsin Infantry Regiment at Racine. It should have been. I found that odd that they said at Racine instead of in Racine, because isn't Racine a town?
Yes.
Yeah. In Racine on July 2nd, 1861. They were redesigned as the 4th Wisconsin Regiment on August 22nd,
4th Wisconsin Cavalry Regiment.
I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction.
You're welcome.
On August 22nd, 1863. The regiment mustered out of federal service in Brownsville, Texas. So they were definitely in the Western Theater. On November,
May 2nd.
I'm sorry, I got it down here. I got ahead of myself. On May 2nd, 1866. They were disbanded at Madison, Wisconsin, June 19th of 1866. So that would cover the 4 cavalry regiments and at least some of their larger, if not lesser known, but still more important or most important, I guess, actions that they took part in.
Garrison says James Black is his great grandfather served in the South Carolina 18th Artillery Corps, aka Macbeth Murderers.
I've heard of Macbeth Murderers. The 17th Wisconsin Infantry suffered 41. Okay, by the way, we are now moving into the Irish Brigade. Personally, this touched my heart a little. I'm going to be honest, being an Irishman, being a Celt, period. The Irish Brigade was led by John L. Dorian
John L. Dorian.
Yes. Well, he actually started out as Captain Dorian and was promoted when
Is it Dorian or Duran? I don't
Duran. I'm sorry. Okay. He started out as Captain Duran, and became a colonel after the unit was commissioned. He was already in the Army. He had been a prominent lawyer, I believe, in Milwaukee prior to that, and was personally asked to take charge of the Irish Brigade by Governor Randall. The 17th Wisconsin Infantry suffered 41 men killed in action or died of wounds, plus another 220 who died from disease. Again, look at the numbers between the disease and the wounded. It blows my mind. Who died of disease, and 14 who died in accidents, for a total of 275 fatalities. The 17th Wisconsin, aka the Irish Brigade, was known as the Irish Brigade due to it being mostly Irish Americans and newly arrived Irish immigrants who were seeking to prove their loyalties, as well as to disprove the myth that the Irish weren't willing to fight for their new country. They mustered into federal service under Colonel Duran on March 15, 1862, and left the state for St. Louis, Missouri on March 23rd. They remained in service until July 14th, 1865. The regiment was after Lee surrendered to Grant at Appomattox Courthouse. The Irish regiment was ordered to go to D.C. for a grand review. They happened to march through what was left of Richmond to get there. The regiment was sent to Louisville, Kentucky, and mustered out there. They returned to Madison, Wisconsin on July 17th, where the regiment was paid and disbanded. Their engagements included the Second Battle of Corinth. They were also in the Vicksburg campaign, which was the siege of Vicksburg. The Atlanta campaign, again, Sherman's march to the sea or the destruction of Atlanta. The Battle of Kennesaw Mountain. Kennesaw Mountain. For some reason,
Atlanta.
The Battle of Atlanta. The Savannah campaign, which did not have any battles specifically listed, so I'm thinking it was just Sherman's march through Savannah as he burned it to the ground. The Carolina campaign, which consisted of the Battle of Rivers Bridge and the Battle of Bentonville, which I have heard of. I've actually been to Bentonville. Their casualties were as follows. The 17th Wisconsin Infantry suffered 41 men killed in action or died of wounds, plus another 220 who died from disease, and 14 who died from accidents, for a total of 275. The majority of the Irish immigrants, as I stated, were looking to either prove their loyalty to their new homeland, America, and most of them had left Ireland to escape the potato famine that had wiped out 98% of the potato crops in the country, and people were literally dying of starvation because at that time potatoes were a mainstay in their diets. The potato famine itself was caused by a fungus believed to actually be released by the British to wipe out the potato famine and bring the Irish to submission under British rule. At least that was the theory. So that was the information that I found on the Irish Brigade. They were very highly decorated. I think the only brigade higher or regiment that was higher than that was the Iron Brigade, which I think they fought alongside in several campaigns. So
Very likely.
very, very likely.
Blaine says that he loves the song of the Irish Brigade. It's such a good marching tune.
Bloody Sherman. Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, you've got the chat back.
Yeah, I've got the chat back
Okay.
because I read through everything. I hope that some of you were able to get some of something out of some of that. Again, some of this was my own personal opinions being interjected into the earlier part of the conversation and how I felt about certain things. But if anybody has any questions, we will do our best to answer them for you. Again, things are pinned at the top. If you want to join the conversation, feel free to jump in the box. We don't hide from that. And that is something we started, what was it, last week?
Yeah, I believe it was. And it's something we enjoy.
It's okay, Blaine. I'm bitter about a lot of things. I'm bitter about having to shit in a bag 8 times a day. Oh, did I say that out loud? My bad. Anyway,
It's a good thing I love you enough to change that bag.
Yes, it is. I don't know what our topic for next week is going to be, so I'm open to suggestions, ladies and gentlemen, and that includes from you as well, my dear.
Yes, but I've made the last 2 weeks suggestions, so it's your turn.
What do we want to discuss, ladies and gentlemen? I think after burning cities of coal, mass murderers, and now a war, we need something a little light.
Tom versus Jerry. No, I'm joking.
How Hershey built his empire. I actually watched a video on that. You'd be surprised. He actually failed 5 times before he got it right. And he was listed as the black sheep of the family. Ever heard of
the Marauders? Jesse James was a part of that.
Oh yeah, you're talking about shoot, I can't think of the first name. The guy's first name. It starts with an M, and I can't think of it right now. James was a part. Oh crap! I'll have to look. To be honest with you, Blaine, I'm going to have to look through some of the family history to find that. Remember, I am related to the Jameses. They were 6. The brothers were 6 cousins. If I remember what my mother showed me correctly, but yeah. I wasn't thinking of the Marauders. I was thinking of Quantrill's Raiders. That's who I was thinking of. And I know that the James boys were a part of Quantrill's Raiders. I don't know. I have heard of the Marauders, but I'm almost positive that it was Quantrill's Raiders, who were Southerners who, after the war, continued to fight. They were some of the ones that were headed. Remember, I mentioned that Jefferson Davis was captured heading to. Actually, interesting story about Jefferson. Not Jefferson Davis. Jefferson Davis, when he was captured, he was actually caught disguised as a woman. He was caught in a woman's dress. He was hiding out, and there was a large contingency of gold, which has mysteriously since disappeared. He was going to continue to try to fund the war for Mexico. Yeah. Thank you, Blaine. I thought that was correct, but I was 95% sure I was right about that. But yes, it was Quantrill's Raiders. And he was vehemently opposed to the Northern aggression and made no bones about it. He burned villages. He cut a swath damn near as large as
Sherman.
Huh?
As Sherman?
As Sherman. He really did. And I'm surprised they didn't teach y'all that up there, because I know that part of that was, and I know you're not from Missouri, I know this, but that was the area which he was in. So in 1965, when they surrendered, he said, nope, I'm going to continue fighting. And he pretty much cut a bloody swath through Missouri down into that whole area. So I'm surprised that they didn't teach y'all that.
Nope.
Because that was up there in your area. They probably taught you that Abe Lincoln was a good guy. And he freed the slaves. And he
Pretty much.
Yeah, they taught you that he was Mr. Upstanding Citizen. Now, I will give you credit. I will give him credit. He was a damn good lawyer. That's what he should have continued to be, was a lawyer. And he, as well as a wrestler, he actually is mentioned in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. Abe Lincoln is. He was a paid wrestler. He actually worked for a gentleman while putting himself through school as a wrestler. They would do small shows in front of the business to draw business for the mercantile, I believe it was, and he went undefeated. But he was 6'3", 6'4", and lanky and strong as an ox. So Jack Henry was known as Sherman's Bane.
You also have to figure that where I grew up,
bushwhacker, the sniper of the Civil War.
You also have to figure where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
His hometown essentially was my backyard.
Whose?
Lincoln.
Lincoln was born in Kentucky. He didn't move to Indiana until he was
not Indiana.
Illinois. I'm sorry. He didn't move to Illinois until he was.
But the state is called the land of Lincoln.
Which it shouldn't be. Not that I care. I know Kentuckians that would argue with that because he was born and raised until his teen years, I believe. Over 100 confirmed kills from long range and never caught. Hey, I'm going to look that up. I am going to check that out. Jack Henry. Okay. I will definitely look into that because that's a name I had never heard. So I'm thinking of doing something very light, but we're not sure what we're going to do. We were discussing that before we went live this morning. Wow, listen to me.
I don't know about you, but this morning I was going early.
Yes, you were.
You must have been dreaming of that conversation.
That must have been it. You're right. I must have been dreaming. She had an appointment this morning. I don't know, but I promise it'll be something light and enjoyable. I am, again, open to suggestions if Blaine or Nurse D
or Mama Red
or any of the lurkers up there in the lurker
world. Mama.
It's Red's mama.
I'm sorry.
No, I think it's Red. Wait, I gotta go back. Now you got me second guessing myself. You got me second guessing myself. I hate that.
Red Mama.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry, Red Mama.
Yeah, we got it backwards. I'm dyslexic. You can forgive me, I hope.
My fault.
Yeah, well, but I'm going to take the blame for it. It's Mama Red. There you go. Yep. Dyslexic. So I think we are done for the evening. I will make an announcement sometime in the next day or so what next week's topic will be. And we will go from there.
I do have a question. Did we decide to just stick with Tuesday night?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We're going to stick with Tuesday nights. It's just easier.
Oh,
who is this?
I don't recognize
Ghost Rider.
Do you?
Can I see your face, Ghost Rider? Because I'm not sure who this is. Does anybody in the chat know who Ghost Rider is? Okay.
I was wrong about it. It's not Jack Henny. It's Jack Henson.
Jack Henson? Oh, it's Blaine.
Yeah. Okay. I dropped you a link in the. I dropped you a link down in the chat in the private chat.
I will. I will look into it, Nurse D. I promise to look that. I promise to look that into it. Here, and I will make sure that we get this copy. Give me 1 second, Blaine. And there it is. I got you. I am clicking on it now, which will open it into a different. Got it. I got it now. We're good.
You want to pause it?
I did.
You muted it.
Oh, did I mute it? I thought I paused it. That's a commercial. Anyway, anywho will do. As long as you're in Whoville. Don't ask questions you don't really want the answers to, folks. It'll scare you.
Yes, it will. I know his mind.
All right. On that note, I'm gonna exit stage left. Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one, Blaine. Thank you.
Blaine.
And I get that. I will definitely
Give
look into
Houdini
that.
some love for us.
Yep, definitely. All right, bud.
All right.
Catch you later. There we go. No, I don't know anything about RSO. I do, other than I know people who have done it. I don't have my card, and I do have an allergy to certain things, and that's weed is one of them. So I'm a little nervous about even looking into CBD, let alone RSO.
I don't even know what RSO is.
It's like a sticky tarry type of. It's an extract from the plant. I know somebody that used it. It works really good for pain too.
Does it work well for nerve pain?
I don't know if it works well for nerve pain or not. Again, we'd have to look into it. I'm not going to. No offense, Nurse D, but it would definitely be something I would look into before I just blindly took it. That's just who I am. But yeah, it's an extract of marijuana and almost always has
THCA.
Yeah. Okay. I know that we do have a couple of dispensaries opening here. It comes in a syringe. Yeah, I've seen it. You use the size of rice. Okay. Put it under the tongue or inside the cheek. Yep. Yeah, but you can only get that from the dispensary. Yeah. And I, again, don't have my card, so I don't know how I would go about even acquiring that. Plus, I don't have the money to you got to pay $150 in this state to get your medical use card. So I don't know. I would have to.
But if it's
what
legalized for,
but you can't buy it over the counter at like a Walgreens.
No. I understand that, but if it's legalized for recreational use in the state, go to Maryland.
Yeah, that's the person that. Yeah, I know all about Maryland, and yep, I'm aware.
But Arizona,
it's a direct plant extract. Yeah, I know that there is one down at the ocean front, so it would be something we would have to do some research on. But yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not going to do something blindly. And I have heard that it is good for nausea and various other things. Yeah, Virginia does have recreational, but I don't have. Well, I think they decriminalized it. I don't know if we've made it recreational yet or not. I know they decriminalized it. I think they did.
Marijuana recreational in Virginia? Yes, it is legal to possess a small amount of marijuana if you're 21 or older, but not to buy or sell it.
Okay, so yeah.
So it's legal to have, just not legal to buy.
But you can grow your own. So what you do is you
have to
go
buy it at a dispensary.
you go steal somebody's plant, you grow it in your backyard behind the shed, and you have your own.
You go to somebody that has the plant and say, you want the seeds. Don't sell them to me. Just give them to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's legal. Wow.
Okay, listen closely. It's been scientifically proven to eat cancer cells. The THC kills them. Also get some B17, absolutely proven to clear out cancer.
I've heard this. Nurse D, you're the second person in 2 days to mention
B17.
B17. I've never even heard of B17. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I've just never heard of it. That's a new one on me.
What is B17?
It really is. That's a new one on me.
It's an American 4-engined heavy bomber. It took me to a Boeing B-17.
Use B-17 if you're afraid of allergy. Yeah, I would definitely go with the B-17 before I would do the RSO. Now, where can I find this B-17? That's the question. Would they have it at like my local vitamin shop, or
it's a chemical? Amygdalin.
The chemical?
Amygdalin, thank you. It's a chemical compound. It's naturally occurring chemical compound found in many plants, most notably in the seeds of apricots, bitter almonds, apples, peaches, cherries, and plums, and in the roots of manioc.
That's why they're telling me not to eat fruit. No. Unless it's cooked. Doctors don't even suggest B-17.
Anti-cancer effect of amygdalin.
Good organic vitamin store. I will. You have my word. I will. And yeah, because I definitely don't want to deal with this longer than I have to.
Would like GNC have that?
I don't know GNC. She said to go to an organic shop, an organic vitamin store. So
I see. I'd know where to take you if I was in Beloit or Janesville. I don't know where to take you here.
We have something we would have to research.
Yeah, I know the apple seeds definitely have arsenic in them.
Do not eat fruit seeds because of the arsenic. Yeah, no, I don't eat fruit seeds anyway.
Okay, Nurse D. So GNC is not such good product.
Yeah, no. We will look in again. It's going to be I'm sure we've got one around here. It's going to have to be something that we have to do a little bit of digging to find an organic shop.
Organic vitamin shop near me.
Arsenic is in the husks of the seeds, not the actual seed cores. Yeah.
When I tried looking for organic vitamin shop near me, it just brought up the vitamin shop. ASHOPPE.
Yeah, I know where that is.
Is that?
I grew apricots as a child and found out myself they will ship under. Okay, huh? But there's a good health store up this way called Healthy Habits. Look online. Okay, and I think they will ship under 4 weeks, Pennsylvania. Okay, so look for Healthy Habits.
Okay, it's RSO, right?
No, this is for the B-17.
B-17.
This is for the B-17.
Amygdalin.
Yes, amygdalin. So, Oh, she's looking it up now. I can only
I'm
imagine.
wondering, well, they got bitter almonds, which is in there. They got apricot extract.
Do they have a number we could call them?
Well, this is Amazon because I was just curious.
Hmm. Okay.
Healthy habit or healthy habits, pardon me.
Healthy habits, yeah.
Healthy habits.
Owner is a doctor that doesn't agree with lots of what government is doing. He's very intelligent and only orders the best vitamins. Okay, cool. Cool. Almonds have arsenic in them too. Yes, they do. Yep, I'm familiar.
Healthyhabits.com.
Would it be healthyhabits.com, Nurse D? I'm not opposed to something that's organic. Mm. Oh, it's in PA. It's in the town she was talking about in PA. Hold on. Let me back the. Here we go. Hold on. Two products.
Yeah, this is in Tempe, Arizona.
There's a plant extract using oil, and then it's removed through evaporation. Oh, good lord. Use B17 if you're afraid. I'm looking for the name of the town again. Somewhere in Pennsylvania. I do remember her saying that.
That's back to the RSO.
Yeah. Anyway, we will definitely be looking into it because I am always looking into alternatives to having to not take this garbage that they've got me on. So, apples are star fruit for those who don't know. Never heard
That
that.
makes sense.
I mean, yeah.
If you cut them one way, there's a star in the center.
Yeah.
Except that star fruit are already a fruit.
Yeah.
Oh.
She just copied that website.
All right, drop me the website again, Nurse T. And I will make a point of copying it. Apple seeds.
Hold on, scroll down. Not that far.
What?
She said I'm not sure it's a small town. Scroll up. Slowly. I'm not sure it's town I said. No, it's not the town she said because the town I was looking at was Arizona.
You know more about Arizona than I know about Pennsylvania.
It was Phoenix metro area.
Well, again, you know more about Arizona than I know about.
It wasn't. She was talking about a Pennsylvania town from what you were talking about.
Maybe I understand that, but if they had B-17 there and they were willing to ship, we might be able to work something out. This is the point I'm trying to make. It would be some.
Well, I can go back for, but
Anyway, we will, as I told you, we're going to go ahead and close out for the night. I thank everybody for joining us. Nurse D, I will get back with you on what I find out. For sure. You have my word. It's Dan. Peace, love, sunshine. Thank you, Mutts. I've been listening while I was at work. I've learned a lot. Well, thank you.
thank you, Peace, Love, Sunshine. Hopefully, we made you smile too.
Hopefully. We do tend to pick at each other. Please make sure you hit Captain Dan Kiawe. Y'all make sure you hit the like button for me. For us, I should say. I'm just so used to saying me. I apologize.
You're still getting used to me as your partner.
Yes, I am. My sober partner, but we're not going to go there. But yeah, it does help get this out to more people.
Hey, I drink. I just drink Diet Mountain Dew.
That's true. You do.
I
Good
do
deal,
drugs.
Dan. Thank you.
I do drugs. I do nicotine and caffeine.
That's true. That's also true.
Good. Peace, love, and sunshine. Peace, love, sunshine.
Good. As long as we can make folks laugh at least once a day, we have achieved our overall goal for ourselves.
Yes.
At least I have. I don't know if you've shared my
Yes, I
philosophy.
like to do that too.
I didn't know if you've shared my philosophy.
At least a smile, if not a giggle.
Exactly. Also use a
ointment barrier around stoma before placing a new disc.
Yep. Yep, we do use an ointment barrier.
Yeah, I mean between the ring, the
paste,
and then the powder.
And then the powder, yep. Keep skin intact. Otherwise you have serious skin. Oh, trust me, Nurse D, when I first got out of the hospital, my skin around the stoma was so burnt it was blood red. I ended up having to go back to the hospital 3 or 4 times.
One of the home health aide nurses told him, call 911 and take your butt to the hospital.
Yep, that was like my 2nd or 3rd day home. It was that bad.
That was the 2nd or 3rd. That was the 3rd time you went to the hospital.
Oh, was it the 3rd time?
Yeah, the 2nd time. The first time was when you got admitted and they found the mass. The 2nd time was when the bag broke.
A towel on lap when changing out. It'll be like, we pretty much got this down to a science now, but yeah.
We've been doing this for a few months.
Yeah, so we ordered some absorbent pads to put around things.
No, not really properly. They did not, when they came in to teach us in the room in the hospital, they did not even teach us about, they taught us about the ring. They did not teach us about the paste. They did not teach us about the powder.
No. They didn't even tell us, it was a home health nurse that actually even suggested we use a belt, which actually prevented
No, they did tell us about the belt. Did they?
I don't remember that.
He taught us about the belt.
Right. That's what I was talking about.
No, at the hospital.
Oh, I don't remember that. But there's a lot I don't remember. That lot had kept me pretty well fried. But the first, we went through 5.
There was a day we went through 5 bags and wafers.
Yeah, we went through 5
in
bags.
24 hours.
Yep, 5 bags and wafers in 24 hours.
Now we're getting 4 or 5 days out of a single wafer and
Yeah,
bag.
we're getting about 5 days out. Yeah. So I'm getting there, Blaine. I'm getting there. I'm too ornery. I'm too ornery not to. Take 2 towels and wash rag, and then going off. Keep sterile bottles. We actually brought some of that home to help in case they break through on disk or leak. Yep, we actually I have a bag, and we actually have, I think it's 4 bottles of the 4 unopened and unused bottles of saline solution that they gave us.
We can keep the stream up for a while here, peace, love, and sunshine. And if you need to ask us for names of any of the battles,
Peace, love, and sunshine. Yeah, this is actually going to be on our channel. I'm actually thinking about converting it over. It would both appear we actually have it in a playlist, or this one will be in a playlist. It's called Conversation with the Mutts. But I'm also thinking about turning our Conversations with the Mutts into an actual podcast that you can listen to it. No, they didn't. No, they literally gave those to us, Nurse D. Maybe you want to go grab one of them so we can show her what we got. I'm going to have Mrs. Mutt go grab one of the bottles to show you what we've got. And
they didn't give us bottles of water.
no, they didn't give it. No, but I'm talking about those little white bottles down there on the bottom shelf. Those are saline solution.
Yeah.
Only keep the.
They don't keep giving us that.
No, they don't. Yeah, I know, but we haven't really had to use them.
Right, and she's saying take 1 or 2 of these in the car with us all the time.
Well, I mean,
1 or 2 in the car.
Well, if we keep 1 in the car and we've still got 4 over there.
Right, but that way we can clean anything.
Only keep the opened saline for 3 days, though, to be safe from bacteria. Yeah, none of these are opened anyway, but here, I'm going to turn the camera on and I'll show you what we've got. Show you what they gave us. And they gave us 4 when we left the hospital. We haven't even used these yet.
We've got 4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah. Use a permanent marker and write down
the date.
Yeah. Yep. But here we go. This is I don't know if you can see that very well or not, but there it is. That's the bottles. This one is, I don't believe this one's been opened. I don't think it was.
Well, you're just opening it now.
Yeah, that's true. I don't want to do that. I wanted to see if the cap was on it, but I'm afraid to open it. But I don't think so because they're all about that same level.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this one's pretty well. Yeah, this one has.
Would there be a seal on it?
I have 2 go bags.
It just doesn't have that in it.
Yeah, it's regular saline. Yeah. I actually have 2 go bags. I have a bag that we put together, and it's actually in my drone bag that I carry with me now everywhere. And then we have a smaller one that will actually fit in Mrs. Mutt's purse or in my backpack or wherever. So we actually do have 2 of those put together.
We just have to put the saline with it.
Yeah, we would just have to put the saline with it. That's all. Saline bottles and bags of actual, pretty cheap when you buy them straight up. The hospital marks them up to insanity. Yeah, I believe it.
He says they're literally $7.95 on Amazon, as he calls it.
Yeah, I can believe it. Really, 3 days for saline. I did not know.
Does that have an expiration date on it?
Does that have an expiration date on it?
There's something on the lid.
It does, but I can't read it. I think it's 25. It's 2025. Give us 1 second. My eyes are.
Yeah,
What?
June 16th of 2025.
A month after our wedding.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're good for another year on these. These are all. I believe they were all about the same time. So this one's good for at least a year, as long as I don't open it. Oh, I'm sorry, baby.
That's okay. You grace it.
I'm sorry.
By the way, if any of you know Moonchild, I have told them I have their pajamas, and I don't know that they took me seriously. You gotta start the cam again. I pointed toward me. This is what I mean. The pants literally have full moons, new moons, and I'm going to say old moons.
Phases of the moon.
Yes, 3 different phases of the moon on them. And then this is the top.
There you go. Yeah, and this one's good till June of 25. So we're good. But yeah, peace, love, and sunshine. You will be able to find this along with all of our others. If you go to the channel and just look through our playlist, you'll see one that says "Conversation with the Mutts," and I haven't added I haven't added this one to it yet, but I will as soon as this chat is over. It will be added to that playlist, and you'll be able to find that along with the others that we've done so far. So, yeah, I've lost quite. Oh snap! I left the camera up. Yeah, I've lost about 25 pounds. I was down 30, but I put 5 back on over the holidays. Forgive me, but I'm it is what it is. But yeah, I've lost 25 pounds so far.
No problem, peace, love, sunshine.
So I did not realize I left my camera on. I know y'all don't want to look at my ugly mug.
Stop.
So,
Oh, careful, baby.
Went to give her a kiss on the forehead, missed, and hit her glasses. But yeah, we do. You were talking about a go bag, Nurse D. We really do have at least 2 put together, so we're good. And that includes everything in it: gloves, the wafer,
The bag,
the rings, the paste,
powder.
the stoma powder.
One's got
yeah.
Hand sanitizer. The
Yeah,
other
we
one
do
doesn't.
we do have hand sanitizer in one of them. We need to get a hand sanitizer for the other, just to be on the safe side. But yeah. So I'm doing my best to try to beat this thing out. So I don't, aside from being pretty constantly tired, I don't feel bad for the most part. I occasionally will have a bout of nausea after I eat, but that usually goes away within a few minutes. And the neuropathy tends to go away after 4 or 5 days in both my hands and feet. And since I have 2 weeks between treatments, that gives me about a week where I can actually drink something that's not room temperature or eat something cold if I want something cold.
All right, Blaine. I just looked for saline. Well, I can't look for saline wound wash and found a 0.9% normal saline solution, 0.22 filtered and sterile, 500 milliliter bottle, $21.99 on Amazon.
I have triple antibiotic ointment. I also have Neosporin, so I don't know which. We've been using the triple antibiotic ointment, but I wasn't sure about the Neosporin. My problem is stinging, and we've also used a lot of stoma powder to help everything stick. I could. Mom would kill me. I couldn't think of the name of Neosporin.
Nasal spray. Nasal spray. $30 for a 1,000 milliliter bottle.
Yep. Yep, that's what our bodies are made of. Okay. Okay, we'll do, Nurse D. We'll do. You're good, and thank you for stopping by. Peace, love, and sunshine. Like I said, give me till the end of this stream to add that to the playlist, and then you can literally go through and you can. And to be honest with you, I would absolutely love for you to run through all of our playlists. It would take you a couple hours, but it would also help our watch hours. I'm trying to get us monetized, to be honest, because right now I'm out of work. And every little bit would help. So, to be honest, people say that, well, you're just in it for the money. No, I'm not just in it for the money. I was doing this before I ever got sick. But now that I'm sick, if this can help us put a little extra money in our pocket, I'm not opposed to that either. I started this just as a hobby to learn, So. If you're not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Let me just go ahead and say that. But I think everybody in the chat is already subscribed, to be honest. I'm 99% sure of that, in fact. Other than that, no. Okay, I'm live, but it's not showing. That's weird. Hold on. Let me check something, folks. That is very strange. That's why. There we go. I wondered why that was. Okay.
And it wasn't showing anybody in the chat.
It wasn't showing how many were in the chat.
No,
But that's because I had increased the font size. And that, when it did that, it. Oh, it's going to be slow for me too. We basically had to start over again. I had a previous partner who basically, when she got mad, and I don't mean life partner or fiance or anything, I mean channel partner, who, when she got mad at me because I was tired of her showing up for streams drunk, took out multiple copyright strikes until they literally took the whole channel down. So good riddance to bad rubbish as far as I'm concerned on that. Thank you, Peace, Love, and Sunshine. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And thank all of those who are, even those up in the lurker loft who may be listening, who have already subscribed. Thank you as well. Okay, gang. We've been live for an hour and 35 minutes, and I am starting to get tired, which is not uncommon. So I'm going to call this a night. Again, we're going to say thank you. Everyone be safe over the course of the next week. And be on the lookout for our next group of shorts. We feature our cats. It truly is a mosaic. It's kind of a montage of everything that, or whatever hits our brain, to be honest.
Blaine, I'm glad you're still alive. I'm sorry that you're in pain, but I'm glad you're still here.
Pain just lets you remember you're alive, Blaine. And you're talking to a man who lives with chronic pain. So I get it. I do. Believe me, I get it. And that was before I was living with chronic pain before I got sick with this cancer. But you're tough. You're tough enough that you'll get through it.
That's a great attitude, Blaine.
Yeah. Don't make me come all the way out there to northern Mexico and kick your ass, Blaine. I don't like to fly, and the drive would be hell on me.
Yes, we've been up and down those mountains once before in a vehicle.
We have indeed. I wouldn't mind doing it again, but not for that reason.
Not this time of year, please.
No, God, no. So I'm going to say goodnight and thank you all.
Yes, thank you very, very much.
All right, gang. We will see you all very soon. Good night,
Have a great night.
night, guys. Okay.